Hi everybody. So I am going live for our final week of Personal Growth Friday. I'm hopefully getting a little better at this, maybe more to come in the future, but I've learned a lot through this whole experience of doing personal growth topics, seeing the range of personal growth topics that, some are not traditional. They're not going to look the same for everyone. I feel like I've learned a lot of tips that I've used and that I like sharing with my team. So hopefully you have also had that feeling. If you don't know what I'm talking about, because this is the first one that you're checking out, go back through the Treehab Workforce page that you're looking at and look at the Fridays. We touched base on things like meditation, exercise, self-respect, different topics that really dive into giving you the credit and the attention to be a better you. And hopefully that will lead you on to, having a better relationship at home, being more successful and confident in interviews or getting a job, and just overall good things. So today I'm going to talk about positivity. Not such a good topic. I feel like, it's really easy in crisis mode, a lot of things going on, to not really have that positive mentality. So I found an exercise called sensory awareness. I'm not going to get too weird on you. This is going to make you feel a little uncomfortable, but it's something you do by yourself. And then if you feel like it, you can talk about it to a career advisor. But it does, it makes you kind of rethink something. So let me explain. So this is going to help you identify experiences in which you derive pleasure, comfort, and enjoyment through your five senses. So sensory awareness is more than merely just responding to the experience. Instead, it actually helps you engage in the experience. In this day and age where technology is so present and life happens so fast, I think it's easy to not pay attention to what actually makes you happy. Maybe it used to make you happy, or the way you used to make you happy, but now you've added more chaos in the moment and you're not actually fully enjoying those things that you used to. So it's getting you to pay attention to the sensory information that's around you. So according to Jones' 2011 book, mindful practice nurtures the ability to bring sensory experiences to the forefront of your consciousness. So by doing this exercise and continuing to do this exercise, you're making and retraining your brain to pay attention to all these wonderful things around you when you're in a moment that brings you joy. So I'm going to walk through it once with you, but I want you to get comfortable with this process and see if it's something you can incorporate into your life. So with this, I guess I want to explain, it goes on to explain that when you do this, a space is created. I like that. In the mind that allows you to stop and smell the roses. So some examples are the sound of a flowing river, or the view of a landscape, even reading a good book. All of these things can be immensely gratifying and comforting if you just pay attention and just be present in it. So here's the instructions. Super easy. You ready? You're going to take a piece of paper, blank piece of paper. You're going to make 5 columns. So right across, I do it landscape, I write big. So we're gonna make 5 columns, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, super easy, however you wanna do it, okay? So with these 5 columns, you are going to write each sense. So we'll start with touch, taste, smell, sight, and sound. All right, see? Easy peasy, 5 senses, piece of paper. I suggest that you go do this away from chaos. So if you're stuck at home with your kiddos, find a quiet place. The bathroom's not it. If you're, I'm a mom, I know that's not the place that you are by yourself. No, but seriously, go out, cup of coffee, maybe wake up early when kids are sleeping, napping, whatever. But you wanna really pay attention, because it's going to be a little weird to think back at something and try to pinpoint all these things. So I did this right before I came on live so that I can kind of walk you through it so you feel comfortable when you sit down and do it. So you should take about 15-20 minutes. It's completely up to you. It took me 5 minutes. Maybe take 20 minutes of silence away from the chaos, and then this would work better. But I want you to write down an experience that gave you pleasure, and I want you to describe it with each sense. So it sounds weird. Let me show you how I did it. So I thought recently, I'm trying to think, what was one really pleasurable experience that I really enjoyed. It kind of refilled my soul. So I was able to go fishing with my husband on Keuka Lake a few weekends ago, and we were on the boat and we were just the two of us. And so I went through, knowing that experience, I kind of brought myself back to that experience. And I started to describe it with each of the scents. So touch. The first thing I thought of, the cool, damp, and I'm not a poetry person. I'm not deep. Like I'm not going to pretend to be. But when I started to think about it, I'm like, okay, so we're on the boat, touch, and I'm like, the cool, damp carpet of the boat because it had rained the night before. And when I was standing on it, of course, I didn't want to wear shoes. And so I was on the boat and it was being heated by the sun. And I felt the sun on my feet and just the touch of that. I know, weird, right? But I swear this is really cool. So go ahead and think about the experience that you wrote down and think about what things did you feel in that moment. Taste. I was snacking on goldfish. That's something I usually don't get because the kids are always eating it. So I had goldfish, I had cold water in a water bottle, and looking back at the experience, I kind of was able to eat when I wanted to and take a sip of water. And I know that sounds crazy, but in the rush of life and your family, you find that you don't always take that in. You know, you're always in a rush. So that's something that when I was looking back at the experience and what gave me joy in that moment, that was my taste, sorry. Next one was smell. So with this one, it's a smell of fresh air. That really speaks to my soul. Probably most of you are like that as well, so being outside. But we were on the water, and just the smell of the water and the waves and the fresh air just really gave me joy. The next one is sight. So it was just beautiful. When I was doing my columns, beauty was the one thing I wrote down, and I'm like, do I really have to be more specific than that? Because it was just beautiful. But I told myself, like, the point of this exercise is to really dive into what gave you joy in that moment through sight. So seeing the water waving on and glistening, seeing the other boats and people having fun on the other boats, seeing my husband just actually relax and enjoy, and just in the silence, we're able to just be silent and enjoy it. And another sight was seeing all the lake houses and how beautiful they are, and even the little ones, just how, like, it's kind of like my goal in life to have a lake house. It'd be just really cool. It doesn't matter how big it is. So the sight of that really brought me joy. The last one is sound. So hearing the birds chirping in the trees. It was, we were there all day, so it was a different environment when we first was there, and it was, the mist was still rising, and then it was, full sun, and then we even went through some rain, and it just was hearing the sounds of the wildlife that came with all those different climates, hearing the waves rushing on the boat, the sound of the motor going really slow, so we were trolling around the edge of the lake, so it was really relaxing and calming to hear that. And then also the lake houses, people outside the lake houses with their dogs, or even playing music and doing some construction, and just the sound of just like complete pleasure and relax is what I was kind of bringing in when I was thinking back to that experience. So that's it. I took my 5 minutes. I wrote down the things. I wrote down a little bit like what my experience was, just to keep me on track. You don't really necessarily have to do that, but then did those. So with this exercise, there are some reflection questions. So I will type these up and put them in the comments. We'll make sure that when we share this across our other workforce pages, that we add the reflection pages or questions. So I'm going to walk through them with you and kind of just discuss them, so that if you're confused when you go to read them. So number 1, were you surprised by anything you thought and added to your list? And I'd say yes. I say normally I don't think about, what the carpet on the boat felt like, or, this really made me dig deeper, and that's not normally something I do. So I was surprised. Question 2, are your lists extremely long or short? Why do you think that is? So I was looking back and I'm like, well, some of them are short, like the smell. I just put fresh air. I don't think that makes it less important, but sight was a little bit bigger. So it was saying, why do you think that is? And I think it's because I'm a visual person. So I take more account into what I'm seeing than necessarily other things, other senses. Maybe with this exercise, it will help me take in those other senses. Which of the items on your list do you experience every day? So that's a good one, because ultimately on this list, there are things that bring me joy, and bring me comfort and rest and relaxation. So fresh air is something that I make a point to get every single day, in whatever capacity I can. If it's just walking out and seeing the pigs, or throwing the ball for my dog, or even walking to the mailbox when we've had like a really rainy, miserable day, I still will get the kids all loaded up with their gear or play clothes so they can get wet and just walk to the mailbox, like just some fresh air. So it's funny that this exercise, you're always going to find probably that one thing that you try to incorporate every day. And if you don't already incorporate it every day, maybe you should. The next question, do any experiences provide pleasure, comfort, enjoyment in more than one category? That's a good one. I think I tried not to do that. But now looking back, I did have birds in sight. And then when I got to sound, I put them over in sound and I scratched it off of sight. So I don't know what that means. Probably some psychological reason I did that, because they're asking. But maybe it's cool to make note of that maybe, even though I saw the birds and I thought they were beautiful, I also heard the birds. How can you increase the number of experiences that give you pleasure, comfort, and enjoyment? So I feel from doing this exercise that I can increase my number by being more present. I think sometimes I just explained how I go outside and then I enjoy the fresh air. Do you think every single time I'm happy about it? Probably not. Sometimes maybe I'm cranky and I'm actually going outside to get away from the chaos. So maybe just being more aware that fresh air actually makes me happy. And so maybe you can find something through this exercise that you can make notice of so that you can enjoy it more in future experiences. The last one. Can you commit to experiencing at least one source of sensual, I think that's the word. It means sensory pleasure from each sense every day? That's a good one. I feel like I could. I don't know realistically if I would write them down every day. I'm not a journaler, even though personal growth, I think you should be. But I'm not going to lie to you guys and say that I do that. But I think by doing this exercise, I feel like I might make note of it more. So maybe every day say, oh, I really did enjoy, smelling the roses today, or the sound of my kids actually getting along and giggling, just enjoying those sights and sounds and tastes and the things that we don't think about. So I really like this activity. Won't take you a long time. You could do it over and over again. This is something I would love for you to connect with your career advisor about. Again, personal growth can lead to success in your life. That could look in so many different ways. Either how you feel, how your family dynamic is, but Treehab's here for you for your career goals, okay? So if what you struggle with is confidence or or being able to get out there and interview better, or you just don't know where to start, you're overwhelmed, and when you're overwhelmed, you kind of go back in your shell. These are things we can help with. We're not counselors, but we're here for your career goals. And so these are the type of exercises, they're really easy for us to help you go through if you're not motivated to do it yourself. So please take the time. I'm going to put the reflection questions in. I explained all you have to do is make 5 columns, put all the senses, think of a time, fill it out. Okay, so go ahead and do this activity on your own. And if you're working with a career advisor, let them know you did it. Maybe give them your reflection answers, and you guys can talk about it. So it's been awesome. You'll still see me on Facebook. Even though we're not doing the weekly workshops, we're still going to be doing our weekly Wednesday workshop, where all of our teams across our region will be presenting a workshop each Wednesday, and we'll dive into new things and get them out there for you guys. Reaching out on the Facebook pages to staff, if you're not enrolled in a program and you want to be, is one of the best ways to start, because then they can get your contact information and go back and forth. We are going to start doing some interviews of our different career advisors and staff, so that you can see what we provide and how to get a hold of them. So just stay tuned for that. Those will be starting next week. And have a great weekend, guys. Try to be positive, try to take in your experiences, see what you find joy in, and just seek it out. Okay? Bye, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.